everyone, welcome back to the Girl Dad Girls. We're here with the absolute best set of girls. We've got that QT Danny B, we've got my best friend Bree St. Marie, and of course, I'm Ravishing Rachel. Now, y'all, let me tell you, I am super duper excited for today's guest. Today's guest is probably the first person that all of us have stumbled upon at some point or another
Yep.
randomly
Literally
on
the first
the Reddit
person.
sphere, the Instagram sphere, and I will let her introduce herself, but she's one of our good friends, Miss Jessie. Jessie, take it over.
Oh, well, I don't do Jesse. I do Jess or Jessica,
Oh,
or I do Akundra, as I've been given the name recently.
wow.
The spirits have given me the name Akundra after a journey. And so I'm starting to embrace that name too, because I feel like it fits my
What?
personality.
I love it. Akundra.
Amazing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Akundra.
How do you
Yeah.
how do you spell that?
Well, I made my own spelling. Akundra.
Ooh, that's
Ooh.
I'm embracing it.
wow. That's awesome. Well, tell us more about yourself. Yeah, all of that.
Okay, so I guess, well, let's start from my beginning, from people who don't know who I am. So I am a 42-year-old transgender woman.
Okay, you
I
look
am now
amazing.
celebrating 5 years of living as my true self. I do consider myself post-transition by about a few years. I've had all my surgeries done. I've done my bottom surgery and I did my top surgery. I did not have any facial surgery.
Whoa, really?
So
Wow.
That's one of,
Holy
yeah,
shit.
that's, I mean,
Dang. You look amazing.
this is good energy, and this is HRT
Hell yeah.
and
Good old
magic.
fashioned.
Get it, girl. That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I have a quite an interesting journey. I've like so much to lead to. You know, everybody, I know you've all found me on Reddit, and Reddit was one of the places where I started off. It was actually where I got my name Jessica from, because at first it was my intro into finding myself, because there were so many incredible people showing their true self on Reddit, and it really helped me find my own journey, because I thought at first I thought I was a cross-dresser. I came out of a 3-year relationship which really bombed, and I hit rock bottom. And I knew I was trans at 12 years old, but I got shut down by my father, and it was a really bad experience. Like, I was ready. I had plans to transition when I was in my 20s, and like I was really together, like, and I knew who I was by 12 years old, 100%. But then I had an unaccepting parent, and I'm not blaming him in any way, shape, or form. No love or disrespect. Everything happened the way it needed to. But it wasn't until I was 37 at that point. I had that failed relationship. I hit bottom. And then I started to rediscover myself, and I started to pick up the pieces. I was in a house by myself, and and my daughter, of course. Yeah, I have a 15-year-old daughter, of course. Her name is
Wow.
Leah. She's also incredible, and she is the light of my life. So it was just her and I here, and I was rediscovering myself. Reddit was one of the places where I started first posting as a cross-dresser to try and get some more self-empowerment. And I coined the name like Cute Jess Li. That was my secret cross-dresser name. And it turned into like my handle for everything years later. So I was on there. I was in the cross-dresser forums, and I was relating with people, because it was like a really incredible place for people to connect. And it was a community. And you were in a place where if you would talk to your friends, you didn't know how people were going to react. And it was a really safe space. So I really loved it.
Yeah.
And then from there, it didn't take too much longer. I found all the trans forums and all the subreddits. And that's really where the magic happened. And that was that click. And I found all those forums, and I absolutely, I just it was just, I rediscovered myself. I remembered all those feelings again, those feelings that were like pushed down. And within a few weeks, it only took about 2 weeks at that point, it was just like gushing out. And all that repression that I had inside of me was just like about to spill out. It was like a volcano. And it was just it was first incredibly liberating. And I felt amazing for about a week. And then like the dysphoria started pouring out, and then I started
Mm-hmm.
really like finding myself in a very hard time, and that really began the beginning of my journey, because at that point I I had no choice but to transition. I was in such deep depression. I felt so terrible about myself that the only thing that was keeping me going was my daughter. Like, and I swear to God, like if it wasn't for that girl, then like it wouldn't be the same. And I chugged through, and I knew I needed to get on HRT. And it was, it was a rush, and a lot of people around me were very surprised, because I was this very masculine figure, and I did a lot of masculine things. I built stuff, I fixed cars, and so it was sort of a shock to everybody around me, and it was just like, wait, what? But like I didn't give, I gave people as much time and credit as they needed, but I was going at my own pace, and it needed to be quick, because
Yeah.
I was choking to death on my dysphoria. It was
Hell
that bad,
yeah.
because it's at 37 years old, you're holding this
Yeah.
back. It's such a
That's
massive dam.
yeah.
And like
I
I
started at
couldn't,
37 too, and
yeah.
yeah, that's you everything you're saying is just like yes, yes, exactly.
And like you have to be yourself, and like I just had to be, and there was no question. And it took me, it was December, but that was in like August. And then like once I came out, I also had that girlfriend that I broke up with, like she sort of came back, and I had to tell her I was
Whoa.
trans, and I was like, oh great, I'm gonna ruin this opportunity. And actually it was one of the most incredible things. Her name is Jen, and I love her forever, because she ushered me into my journey. And she
Wow.
brought me out. She gave me makeup. She gave me clothing. She gave me inspiration. I forever give this woman love. And I loved her forever anyway. She was one of the most amazing people I've ever met. But she carried me on through my journey until I basically got on HRT. And then we sort of separated, and then it was more friend based at that point, and then that kicked me off on my journey. So that's me starting the journey. It was just like a shotgun blast.
That's that's awesome. And everything you're saying is just very it speaks to me a lot because yeah, I started at 37 too. And it was just yeah, like when I was younger, it was the same sort of thing of knowing it from a long time. Like how did your starting at such a, like I guess at 37, did your family have a big like your parents or extended family have a big negative reaction to it?
My father had passed at that point, which made
I'm
it
sorry.
significantly easier. And I know for a fact that he would not have been accepting, because I've spoken to him, because I'm also a medium, so I speak to people who have passed. So I've been able to reconnect with him, and
Yeah.
he confirmed that he would have not been accepting in
Yeah.
life. But now up there things are very different, and so he's very proud, and I connect with him very often.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
but he was a very strong personality, and it was a big obstacle for me to transition. But it all happened exactly when it needed to. So I'm grateful for everything of how it played out, because if it didn't, I wouldn't be in this very moment, in this very situation that I am now. Everybody else was pretty accepting. I had a Jewish liberal family on one side, and then it was like it was Catholic family on the other side. But like everybody was mostly accepting. But everybody has, when you're transitioning, everybody else around you transitions at the same time, so you have to give them a lot of leeway. And some people, it took many months, and I won't go into necessarily specifics on that, but everybody came around, and I didn't really necessarily lose anybody. So I'm really grateful for that fact, that part of my
Yeah.
journey was about as smooth as it could be. um so that made it better. But still, even like my mom, who was very supportive, it takes a lot,
Yeah.
and like she had all these preconceptions about what her son was going to do, and like how his life would show up, and then all of a sudden it's like you've ended that life,
Yeah.
and you're starting anew, and it's not easy. So even the most accepting people take a long time to not only like grieve like the person, you know, that they thought was there and put that to rest and come to peace with that. But at the same time, then like be able to like create somebody new in their head and like reconceptualize a new relationship and which is what we needed to do. And for a while she was like very like she just didn't want to talk about it very much, or I would talk about it and it was just like her subconscious wouldn't let her focus in. She's just do and like focused off. And I got that. You know, that's absolutely natural because that was her just trying to cope. So I gave, you know, everybody needed their own time, but she, in the end, is, you know, one of the most accepting people, most supportive people. I'm extremely grateful for her and everybody else in my journey that supported me.
That's
Amazing.
awesome that there weren't any like really negative reactions. We've had people who, you know, have basically lost contact with their parents over this sorts of things. I know my mom was very accepting. I'm still David to her, sadly, but that's okay. You know, obviously I don't shy away from it, obviously. But what part of the world are you in?
So I live in New York, Long Island, New York.
Oh, awesome.
And so it's honestly, as a trans woman, it's a really good spot. I'm extremely grateful to be here because even though like Long Island itself is a little bit more conservative, and it's like even getting more conservative as time goes on, like you still have, we're the outskirts of New York City, and it's still one of the most accepting places. So like even going around and walking around when I first transitioning, I didn't like fear, like, you know, you got weird stares and some people were like a little bit off put, but at the same time, it wasn't like it made it a lot easier. And I love New York, and New York's just incredible. And especially the city is New York City is one of the best places in the world.
I have not been there in a really long time. I think it was
I have
2007, and they had like just broken ground on the Freedom Tower. Like they were still had like the base dug out. But yeah, it's been a really long time. I'd love to go back.
Yeah. I need a vacation to New York. Never
Girl
have
on
I
girls
ever.
trip. Let's do it.
All right, when you're coming, you're gonna let me know. And I know all the spots I got. I got all the hookups. Yeah.
Catch
Done.
catch this. The farthest northeast I've ever been, ever, is Cleveland.
Wow.
I'm gonna do a graphic with that. That's gonna be
Random.
awesome. We're gonna put all the places that Rachel's never been over here. That's awesome. So I assume it's not really like down here in the South. It's kind of dangerous, like in certain parts of the state. So I assume like in Long Island, you haven't really ever felt like threatened or anything. Kind of like there aren't places you avoid, I guess.
I mean, there are some places that there are places where, yeah, there are definitely, but you have to be wise to it, right? And you, as a trans woman and as a woman itself, like it's part of the transition is understanding that you can't just walk anywhere you want to. That's like you have that male privilege of just being like da 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 da, and you can go anywhere, everything's fine. You're a white male, everything's cool. I mean,
I don't remember what that feels like.
Nobody
Right?
wants. Nobody wants to hang out. Nobody wants to accost a nerdy middle class white guy. And then I was like, oh, now I'm wearing a dress, and they're like, oh, now I'll accost you. Thanks.
Right,
Like-
exactly, yeah.
Like I will never
forget.
forget. Yeah. Like I'll never forget when I learned that lesson. Like that was a fun lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I was walking back to my car from a Pacers game in Indianapolis, and it was at that moment that I realized I forgot where I parked my car. It was a real life dude, where's my car? Because I couldn't remember what parking garage it was in. And so I'm just wandering the city. Wandering the city at 11 at night in my Michael Jordan jersey and my leggings. And all of a sudden I realized that there's like 3 or 4 dudes like following me. And so I dip into a Starbucks and it was fine. It's fine. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. But
Love it. Starbucks is like the safe house.
Not to mention 11 o'clock at night in January, wearing a basketball jersey and leggings. I needed a hot white mocha. Okay.
Understandable.
I love how I love how Jess, he said that like it all kind of started for you when your relationship ended, and it was kind of sort of, you in this house all alone, because that literally is how mine began. That self-discovery, I feel like it's so easy to do that and just be yourself when you're alone.
Yeah, when you have space, you need your
Yeah,
own
like
space to be able to explore.
for me, like I moved 9 hours away, and I was still married when I moved down. And but I moved down in May. We took possession of the house in May. And my ex didn't join me until October. So I'm down here for 5 months. Sorry, ladybug.
Ladybugs. Is that on your screen or my screen? Oh, that's on you. That's on your wall. I was like, I have a bug on my
That's
screen. Nope,
hilarious.
it's a bug on your wall. That's going in the podcast.
I hate it here. But I was down here all by myself for a good 5 hours, or not 5 hours, 5 months. And that's honestly when like things broke for me. And then, bought a wardrobe, burned it when she moved down here. Fast forward a year, we get divorced, and the rest, they say, be history. But
Yeah, but you needed that. You needed the space, though.
exactly,
So important.
exactly.
It's better than like locking a door and like hoping nobody's going to come, or like,
Oh,
is
yeah.
somebody going to catch the Amazon package and see that there's clothing in there, or there's questions, and you're able to just sort of avoid all of that and just do your own thing. There's a lot of magic in that, and being able to
Exactly.
move yourself forward very quickly, which is what I did. It was a quantum leap.
One of the things you had mentioned that you kind of went into a bit of a depression. Was there anything during like a litmus test? Do you remember a point that any particular event that happened that really was like the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
Well, I mean, it was the breakup, right? It was this person who I conceived I was going to have a family with. I tried so hard. I put a lot into this relationship. We just weren't meant to be. Like the point of our situation was for us to both learn and move on, and then it was for me to find myself, and that was just the way that the universe sort of brought it through. All situations within your life, everything is happening for you. And I work as a spiritual guide and a shaman, and that's one of the most powerful and important things that I could teach anybody, that every event is neither good nor bad. Everything happens in balance. There's aspects of both things. And even the worst things that happen in your life are meant to bring you to the things that are going to empower you the most. There's that pendulum swing. And then so when you're that far out, you're going to have to swing that far back. It's just how the universe works. It's the law of balance, and it goes really deep from there. But that's sort of an intro to that. But that relationship, I was crushed, and that was my hopes, and that was my dreams, and additional children, and a happy marriage. And I tried so hard, and it just fell apart. And then there was a lot of self-worth put in there too. And my entire built up fake persona as a man put into that, where I tried to build this persona up. And in the end, I was building up a fake foundation, right? Because that's not who I was. So I was building up this person that wasn't actually real. I mean, I tried to make it as real, but then when you don't have a foundation, it all falls apart. So like when she left, it was the rug was pulled. Everything that I put my energy into just fell. And then that's why I crashed so hard. But on the more positive note is that as soon as I started HRT, within about 24 hours, I start like the dysphoria lifted massively. My depression lifted massively. Wow. I had a massive anxiety attack about 10 years prior. And I had anxiety every time I stepped into a car and I was driving. It lifted. It was all because of my repression of myself. It was magic. And, obviously that was sort of the beginning, but it was like, wow, I don't feel like I can't live anymore. It was just like a newfound, I found myself, and I knew my path, and it was just so clear and vivid, and like there was such hope, and like there and now I know hope isn't really like a good thing to focus on, but at that point, like it was like I can see things that are happening, and it was movement, and it really opened me up in massive ways. And I see that too. And through Reddit, I was on there for so long. I realized that I also had an uncanny ability to inspire other people. And then once I put myself on there, and then I've met so many people, and I've helped other people too. And I've followed so many people through their journeys. I've dedicated a lot of my time for years doing this because it was part of my healer's journey, and it got me to the place where I am now. And people feel a natural inclination to come to me for this. And so I've seen this mirrored in a lot of other people's journeys too, that HRT is a miracle and a lifesaver for us. And it's absolutely life changing.
100%.
And, it's such a big step for us.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. It's I know a bunch of the people that I've talked to probably wouldn't be here. I know I wouldn't be here were it not for this.
I wouldn't.
Were you, before you started transitioning, were you this in tune with the like your this spiritualness, and or was that something that came around because like around the breakup and finding yourself?
Well, it was when I was earlier. I had segments. I saw myself as I was older in some portions. I didn't understand who I was. I saw myself as an earlier portion. I saw portals into my future. I was able to astral project pretty easily without necessarily knowing, which is separating from your body. So I had some interesting out of body experiences. And then I was outside, and I was like playing with the weather and connecting with the clouds and all these things like that. And like now I legitimately know how to connect with the clouds and like the spirits of nature. But like at that point, I was like 12 years old, and then you're just doing these things. So I had a natural inclination to it, but you can't get there and start to really open up like your spirituality until you find your self-love. And my transition journey helped me with that, because self-love is really the essence of absolutely everything. Your entire life is formed from your internal happiness. And so because I found that internal happiness, and my journey helped me find that, and all of our journeys help us find that helped us find that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I know there's like some sort of chi that comes around whenever I'm like in a good mood. It seems like good things just start to happen, and like as soon as like just being in that positive mentality, it's like even the bad things have a good spin on them, like you were saying earlier. It's like that everything. Yeah, no, that really resonated when it's like everything that's bad, there's a reason for it to be bad. And it's like I don't know the whole like. You have to learn to experience appreciate the bad to truly appreciate the good.
Yeah, exactly. It's just sort of that polarization of both things. And the most empowered thing is being in the middle. And this is the lesson that Jesus has taught. And while I'm spiritual, and like I take a very like backward stance from all religions, there's a lot of lessons in there. And unconditional love is exactly that. So that is really the lesson. It's one of the most important lessons. It's loving everything and everybody for both their positive and their quote negative aspects. But I don't even like calling that, but it's just the polarity between both.
Opportunity. They're positives and their opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The aspects of both things. But standing in the middle is your empowered state. And then being able to understand that it's just a happening. And then you can move forward. And that's all you're doing, is your greater self is aligning you to move yourself forward through the things that are happening within your own life. And that's why I know that my journey has been the greatest gift of my entire life. And I would never be in this place where I am now without it.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I yeah. That's amazing. Do you? How long have you been doing you're a life coach too? I guess as well with this.
I mean, I sort of like I can, because I have I worked diligently to smooth out as many parts of my life as possible, because I work as a spiritual guide and I'm open to the universe, and there's a lot of energy that comes through. I have to clean myself up in every way, shape, form. So I worked really hard to be in the best balance that I possibly can be in. And because I'm in that state, then I can get channeled information. And then I can work with people. And when I work with people, I speak to their spirit guides, and then I get information. I get intuitive information. I can read people's bodies and and I can read people's balance, that what I'm talking about, balance, like people have balanced loops from not only this life, but other lifetimes too. These things all carry over. And being able to help and empower people, you have to be able to understand all of those things to be able to have a good picture to line people in the right way.
Yeah. No, yeah. It seems like you almost have to be able to dig into like a person's, like, more than just what they'll tell you. Even like you have to and figure out their mannerisms, the subtle things that they're saying without saying it. It sounds like almost.
Yeah.
But
there's a whole energetic read from them, but it's also opening them up so then they could find that within themselves. Because in the end, like, I'm not healing anybody, right? The people that I come together with are the people that need to hear the information, and their greater self is organizing this. It's something called a soul contract. And then we're bringing this together, and then I'm just giving an opportunity to open up. I'm sort of like a permission slip from the universe for them to open up, and it works in a beautiful type of a way. So like I've worked through myself so I can be the best, but I call myself more of a shamanic guide and a healer, because I have that like sort of very specific type of a job. And while if anybody comes to me for help, which people do all the time, because I maintain a lot of social accounts to stay active and to make sure I continue to inspire people, and then reach the people that I need to. Plus, also furthering my own life, I still get a lot of people coming through. And then, so a lot of people always have questions about transitioning and what are they doing with themselves and their health, and questions about the medicine and going through journeys and what's happening with their parents and how to approach it. There's a lot of things through many years of being able to work with a lot of people in the community, and I'm so incredibly grateful. I've met so many friends, but at the same time, I've also been able to get all this beautiful wealth of information to help people through. So like, as like a life coach, I do it, but I feel like I just nudge people in the right direction when they need to be there. And then I empower people to make the changes in their own life. And that's really the biggest thing.
And I guess one thing, it's probably the thing I learned to admire most about you, back when, you and I first met, like, what was it? 2-ish years ago.
It was
but just how open and available you make yourself to others. Like,
it's amazing.
I remember back when we first met. But you had such a large following, and I personally at the time did not. And I was like, I have a question, because I think it was about bottom surgery, and I was like, I got a question. So I hit you up, and I'm like, there's no way she's even gonna see this.
Everybody knows surprised that I answered.
And within an hour, I had an answer. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, I don't know how, now that my social presence has grown a little bit, it's so difficult making yourself that available and while also keeping your cup full. But you are one who just always gives back, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if y'all know, but I think you do. But we had a pregame phone call last week, and I thought it was just going to be a couple of questions, and a couple of answers. 46 minutes later, I am feeling better about myself than I had in forever.
That's so awesome.
And it was just a free flow of the info that you didn't know you needed.
Was that
awesome?
That's energy. Yep. But I hope that I've been given I am so grateful for the opportunity for this information from the universe to flow through me. I've been access to this. I've studied with incredible healers throughout the world. I do this all the time. My entire life is about setting myself in the best type of balance that I could be to not only live the most exciting and wonderful life for myself, which is really just creativity and expression just exploding, but to make sure I inspire people. And I have this gift. And you know what? If I have it, it's a damn shame not to use it. And I can't not, because the universe has showed me that this is it's my journey and I need to. And it's big shoes and there's a lot of responsibility. You know, that law of balance, great power, great responsibility. So it's a lot of a balancing, but I absolutely love it. And there's so much hate with it that is focused on our community, especially now.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
need
Yes.
people
Yes.
to be able to stand up and be able to support other people. And not everybody has to do this. This is not like every trans girl should come up and then start supporting everybody else. And like that's not an expectation for anybody, and nor I or anybody else expects that too. I see a lot of people become empowered themselves, and then just by that empowerment, that people start to like spread that joy and then make friends, and they do that anyways. I'm sure you've all seen this too.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, I didn't want to forget. For people who are listening or watching, what are the preferred ways that you like to had people get in touch with you? Like, I'm gonna put them on the video.
Cool.
List all your things out. But
yeah, so I have my main Instagram is like my main jam. It's cute Jess LI, and that's also one of my handles on Reddit. And there's a big link on there, so it has all my information there. And then my healing website is actually cutejess.com has all my stuff, really.
that's awesome.
And that
It's
has
amazing.
my acting, my modeling stuff. It has my artwork. It has interviews. It has my YouTube, which I'm about to fire up. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah.
That's wow. Yeah, I'll make sure. Or sorry, our production crew. Whoops. Our production crew. Definitely not just me. Make sure to put well, yeah, I'll make sure that that person or them, the group. Anyways, our crew knows. But one thing. Sorry, I'm nothing. I'm not an idiot. One thing I did want to cover. How was it with because you said you have a 15-year-old daughter. I assume, yeah, I guess that she must have been, she was about 10, right? When you, what was it like having to explain gender dysphoria to a 10-year-old and like, that you were going to be looking a lot different?
So this I think is incredibly relevant and probably one of the questions that I get a lot too. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's very important. And for me in my transition, honestly, like anybody else could have, I didn't care about. She was the one I've had custody since she was 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So it was really important that it went smoothly. And like while I figured like I had myself together, my biggest question is, how do I tell her? What do I do? Like, I don't want to hurt this girl. And like I've tried so hard, and she had developmental issues growing up, and it was quite a struggle. Now she's doing incredible. But so it took me months, and it was basically shortly before I was about to go on HRT, and I knew I had to talk to her. So I sat her down one day and I told her, and this girl was the most accepting person that I could have ever imagined. She is so okay, so because nobody's better or worse than anybody else, right? So like we all have different like levels of aspects, but we're all made of the same thing. So nobody's better or worse, right? So because she had developmental issues, that's fine. She can't do math as well, but she has the emotional intelligence of like people like 3 times her age, and she always has. And that's been one of her incredible gifts. So when I told her, she was instantly accepting. not only
Oh,
was she
wonderful.
instantly accepting, she was so excited that now it was going to be a girl. She went and she told all of her friends at school the next day. And I was like, oh God. And so now I had to make all
Oh,
these awkward ass phone calls to parents because I can't be the one just receiving it. Now, like they were like, oh,
no.
but her dad's gonna be a mom now. And I'm gonna be taking like, oh my God. Like now I have to head this off the pass and talk to the teacher.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
oh God, I wasn't ready for this. Like I didn't come out to everybody. It was a slow rollout. It was like, ah. But
Thanks for the jump start.
yeah, it was like a blow out of a cannon at that point. And you know what? But it all, again, everything works out the way it needs to, and it worked out
awesome.
wonderful. Her teacher, who was so phenomenal, we became even better friends. Like when I went to parent teacher conference, she scooted other people out quickly. We yapped for 45 minutes. Again, you know, it's the same type of thing. I always have that energy. And then I had some of her other friends' moms who I actually became good friends with, and I was sort of skeptical with, about, this is all new territory, and it's absolutely terrifying. But my daughter was incredibly accepting from the very beginning. She understood my perspectives. It was the biggest relief ever. And our kids are very accepting, and they're not as rigid as we may think they are. And so I think that's one of the important lessons in this, that the kids have a lot of it. They can think for themselves. They have very open minds, and sometimes just telling them the truth and being honest is it's just, I'm being myself, and that's such a large lesson anyway, right? Because
Yeah.
then, like, I shown my daughter at what resilience and how hard I've worked on myself to be the best version of myself and always be the best version of myself. And I've continued that, and I continue doing that all the time. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm superpowered at this point. Like I am literally, like, every day is magic and synchronicity. And I found like amazing things. I found the secrets of the universe. I'm able to empower people, achieve my dreams. But that's because I'm dedicated and I worked so hard, and she sees that. And not only that, like, we have this incredible relationship. We have the best best relationship ever. We talk about things, everything, right? And whenever like something pops up, like we talk about it like sisters. But at the same time, if there's something that needs to be dealt with, we talk about it, and she understands now. Okay, I will do my best to change that. And we don't yell, we don't have fights at all. There's no real big strife. If something bad happens, we laugh at it and we move on. So and not only that, men can't really understand what we go through and the mood swings and how things change once you go on HRT, and what women experience in terms of going through puberty. So I am extremely lucky to have like a year head start from her, and that really helps out a lot.
Yeah. Actually, no, yeah. Well, and one thing that what you said kind of like it made me think. It's like we always wonder what our kids are gonna think, but whenever you say something, whenever like a kid acts out at school, they're like, oh, they must have learned that at home. And so when we're like, what are our kids gonna think? It's like, well, what did they learn at home? Have we been good people to them? Oh, then they're probably gonna be accepting because we're accepting. It's like it's not like they're like magically learning how to be they learn it all from their parent, which
it's learn. So what happens with a child is, so we have something called an energetic or creator field. The thing we put, that our emotions, our feelings, our energy gets put into that field, and it's easily picked up by other people. So when we're around other people, they absorb that, and they pull that into their field, and they reflect that. So they reflect the things that we're doing within ourselves. So a lot of times our kids reflect who we are inside by the ways they act. And it's a very clear reflection up until about the age of, usually by the age of like 7 or 8, they start to like pull away and sort of do their own things. But they're very big mirrors for us. And so that but everybody else is in our entire life. Actually, everything in our entire life is a mirror about how we feel within ourselves. And I can go very deep into that. But yeah, so like if you're acting in a calm way. If you've worked yourself out and you empower yourself, then yeah, they're going to do the same thing. And that's absolutely reflected in my daughter. And she, she has a higher emotional intelligence than a lot of her teachers and her peers. And I'm incredibly grateful for her. She's literally the best.
That's amazing. Yeah, and she probably has more maturity than a lot of podcast people.
Okay, what?
I'm a giant child.
I mean, she's a perv too, so but that's sort of maturity also. Embracing of your sexuality.
Yeah. Oh, actually, is that something like? Have you noticed any changes to like are you still attracted to the same types of people as you were pre-transition? Have things changed?
Ooh, everything has changed.
Yeah? How so?
Everything has changed. Because I like completely swapped. So I was always sexually attracted to men. Okay, thank you. So I was always sexually attracted to men, right? The first time I masturbated, like some people tweet TMI, I find it very important that I imagine being penetrated. So I imagine being a woman. I was dressed up in women's clothing. So like there's a strong tie between your sexuality and some of your preference. And I was attracted to women, but of course I felt that I was a woman at the same time. It was it's hard. But then so I always dated women. Now I also I experimented with men on the side, and I cross-dressed like every now and then in like ultra ridiculous secret, and nobody could tell, and it was like one of those things you did every like few years or something. I even lost my virginity to a guy. It was a fucking awful situation, but I mean,
that's awesome. So wait, so it switched. So now you're now.
So I thought you were going to comment about that, but
oh no. I mean that honestly, everybody's like I think the only reason that I was stuck with women for so long was just because I was in the country and it was what you're supposed to do.
It's what you're supposed to do, right? And you follow that norm, right?
Yeah.
But then also as a male, I didn't feel like gay guys didn't do it for me. That energy was not the right energy. And so once I transitioned and I embraced myself as a woman, then everything started to change. Actually, oddly enough, when I first started transitioning, I went on pills. I completely lost my entire sex drive. It was completely gone.
Yay!
I was like, I'm asexual.
Damn it. You're preaching my life.
All right, there you go. And then
Yep.
I switched over to injections at about month 2, and that changed. And then once I went on injections, then my sexuality came back, but then it changed. And I was watching TV, I'm like, oh, he's hot. And then it's like, oh, I could imagine then I started thinking about more romantic stuff and being actually, instead of just sexually involved, actually going out on dates and enjoying men. And then it didn't take too long for me to understand that my preference was men. And so I call myself hetero-flexible. I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Danny, you're gonna love this. I'm actually hitting that point too. Bree's
coming around.
Shit. When I first started this whole thing, I was like hardcore lesbian,
Nice.
And then it's just like as gay as fuck, as gay as it gets. And now I'm like finding myself in these especially with these fucking basketball players walking around my place now. I'm like, hey.
hey, Bree. Can I come over?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to window shop.
Yeah, window shop the Spurs all day long because I do.
That's awesome.
It's I haven't acted on any of it yet, but it's just kind of like, oh,
well,
okay.
You should.
Yeah, we're getting there.
I will never forget when. So I was married to a woman, and literally just night and day dated men. Only men. I don't get me wrong. If an attractive woman walks by, I will sit here and I'll be like, "Damn!" But it's more so. But it's more so like, "Yo, how can I get my ass shaped like that?" Like it's a different kind of damn. You know what I mean? But yo, like let me tell you though. I was working at AT&T, and in walks that hometown kid, and by hometown kid, I'm talking about George Fant, offensive lineman for the New York Jets. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, hello there.
Hi.
How are you? And then as I flirted with this man so hard, in walks his wife, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh.
Like, look, I could
Gotta
take
look
her.
for the ring.
Down.
Shit, competition.
I didn't know he was married. His wife walks in, and I'm like, oh.
Although it doesn't seem to stop a lot of men. Jeez.
Right.
True.
Right.
True.
I ain't gonna be that girl.
No. We don't endorse this at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, although I have found, especially so like before transitioning, I apparently was just very oblivious to the fact to like the amount of E&M people out there in the world, just in general. Like ever since I started transitioning, everybody's like, I'm married, but I'm E&M, and that's like essentially the entire dating scene in Central Virginia is E&M guys who are just want to kind of get some strange on the side, and but yeah, that's I don't know. I've found that a lot more people than you would think are ethically non-monogamous. So
I'm not even gonna go into that. Like that's another podcast altogether.
yeah.
So here's my thing. Here's my thing. Sorry, ladybugs.
Gross.
I had
Special guest, ladybugs.
It's so bad.
This episode brought to you by Orkin.
I had a guy who was E&M, and like me and this dude hit it off. But I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, like what's the end goal for me? Like my end goal is I want that ring. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I can't get it with you. Like, what's my end goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know.
Not to mention, I dated, like legitimately dated a guy who was E&M in a younger self, and it ended weird. Like I was catching feelings for him, he was catching feelings for me. His wife was very jealous because he was giving me more attention than he was her, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, too much drama, drama llama, I'm out.
Yeah. I was talking to, there was a guy on one of the apps, and he was like, I'm technically married, and I was like, oh cool, okay, well, and he's like, yeah, but my wife was cheating on me, and I was like, so you're interested in switching it up? And he's like, no, if she comes back, I'd drop everybody. And it's like, so what the hell is the point of this? I'm not like, obviously I'm still on the pills, so I'm still have zippy sex drive.
By the way, add some progesterone, that might help a little bit.
I have it's I don't know what it is. I just don't care.
It's still the pill thing.
The pills are they're not good, and they're also really hard on your liver. It's the first thing I suggest people is get on injections. Like
I was on the pill gang for 6 months. Sex drive's still very much there. I went on to injections, and it dipped a little bit, and then it came back, and it's just hanging out. Like I think I just had to get used to the levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've definitely, some people are okay on the pills, right? And some people have your sex drive, but like through because I've spoken to an insane amount of people within the community. Like that's like been the biggest mirror. Anybody that goes on injections, everybody's happier or happiest on injections. And that's from everybody that I've spoke to over many, 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 many years. It's not even like it's a near 100% consensus of anybody that's ever gone. There's like very few people that have gone on injections. They're like, nah, I don't like it. And if you don't like, if it's like the thing about like hooking yourself, I have a great video on my YouTube which shows you how to do it painlessly. It's
Yeah, I love it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
easy.
watch
It's
that.
really just relaxing. That's the whole thing.
Here's a question. Where do you inject?
I do it in my leg.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do it in my right leg, and they say you should swap them. I don't, and obviously I did fine, and I do it all the time, and I use a small needle. It's basically just relaxation. Like it doesn't hurt at all. Actually, it feels great.
Yeah.
I love getting my injections because like my sex drive goes up a lot that day. It's like, oh, it's Friday. I'm gonna get the house for a few hours.
Actually, oh, go ahead, Rachel.
I was gonna say I do mine in the old bootay. Yeah.
But why? That's like a complicated poke.
Sex drive's coming back up now. Thinking of that.
Like, I'm sorry if I'm darting all over the place. Ladybugs, like I'm freaking terrified at this point.
You know, they're very friendly, and they eat all like the mites and the things that are actually really bad for you in your house, and they're actually considered good luck.
But when there's like 85 of them in your living room,
so you got a lot of good luck apparently.
A lot. I need it. But no, Doc told me in the booty, the leg, or on either side of the belly button. And I don't know why I couldn't do the leg. I didn't even try it. Couldn't. I was doing the booty for a while, and then I'm like, yo, let's switch it up and do the stomach. I did that for like 2 weeks, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, no.
Watch my YouTube video. It's literally the most simplest thing ever, and everybody's like, thank you.
I might have to because like in the gyms I'm not that flexible and bending myself around to get to the
that and then you're in a weird position and they're like, no, this I could do this with my eyes closed. I'm like happy, I'm like jamming and be like, whoop, yeah.
Here's something I think is very strange about what your doctor told you. Doing leg or ass is a different kind of injection, and your stomach is very different in the terms of how you absorb it. Because one's in the fat, one's in the muscle. And what I was told is that it's a very different absorption rate, and it's a different kind of emotional roller coaster that you take, depending on if you go intramuscular or subdermal.
Yeah.
When I first got on injections, I was doing them weekly, and I was crashing hard. Because you do it in the muscle, it peaks, and then it goes like a slow roll. And then when you do it in the fat, it kind of just does like more of a straight line across. But she ended up switching me to every 4 days, and now I'm not crashing and sobbing in the bathtub for 4 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all we wanted. We didn't want to cry anymore.
We need our level just needs to be adjusted for each.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm on a 72-hour window.
You're doing it every 72 hours.
Every 3 days. Every 3 days.
Oh damn.
Wow. Okay. The problem with mine is that my insurance won't pay for injections for some reason. So
you know what? But the whole thing is you can get it relatively cheap, and one of those vials lasts like 3 months. And you could also, like, if they don't cover it, you can also call them up and you can get an override, and 90% of the time they'll cover it. So anytime I've had an issue with that, if you spend a little time with your insurance company, you can get your doctor to call in, you can get an override. Actually, you could even do that with surgeries. Like a lot of people,
you can.
They just sort of like, oh, the insurance doesn't cover it, and it's going to give up. But that's not how, like, you can actually like fight with the insurance company, and the people that are on the line are actually very helpful. And
they are
actually like they're like
sorry.
they're accepting too. They're using pronouns properly, and like I've had good experiences where I thought it was going to be a terrible experience. Like most of the time, people like in the healthcare like have been very good. And then so if you have issues, call up and don't be afraid of that. And even for surgeries too, and getting overrides, like sometimes you could even get other things like if you have enough documentation, like FFS, that could even be covered, even if they say it's not. So
I have a appointment on the 8th out in California.
yeah,
It was a doctor that wasn't a network, but you just call enough and you say, just apply for it and push and push and push and push and push.
true.
And he's now an out for in, so it's covered.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing.
Getting back to the sex drive, are you seeing anybody now?
I mean, I have a very like not steady at this point. I'm meeting people. I have a very weird thing with relationships, and like I'm at the point in my life where I'm an empowered woman,
Oh yeah,
and
get it, girl.
it's and it's when I meet with men, a lot of times like people see their own reflections of insecurities within me because I
Mhm.
have my life so well together, and it bugs people out. And so I get a
Oh,
lot of people, it's like I'm not worthy is a lot of the things that come to me. Now also that's a reflection of things within myself that I've had to smooth out too. But still, it's been like it's almost weird because I have so many people hitting on me like all the time. And like I have like a very clunky, like I haven't had a real relationship yet. I had a boyfriend for about like 5 weeks when I had my bottom surgery, and he was very supportive. And then like I came home and he completely fell apart, and that was about it. So I think I had a
wait,
boyfriend for like 4 or 5 weeks for my
wait, wait,
entire journey.
wait. You started dating before surgery or like right when surgery happened?
It was about a month. We started dating months before, and then we didn't realize we didn't like make it official until about 4 weeks before surgery. And then he was very supportive. I'm extremely grateful for him. But then after surgery, like it brought up a lot of his own traumas. And then while I was
Wow.
recovering, then it became a breakup, and it became like
Oh,
this tumultuous thing. And so,
I'm
yeah.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's
That's
okay. But like I'm actually at a wonderful spot right now. I'm very much empowered, and I've been chasing my own dreams. I've been doing a lot. I've been launching so much, and I've been like there's so much in my life that I'm going after, and I'm making sure that I fill myself up on the inside,
yeah.
and to get the right person in a fulfilling relationship that and you're because you attract what you are. So you're a magnet for your energy and what you feel about yourself inside of you, and the inner work that you put in. You're going to attract somebody that reflects that.
Yeah,
So I've been doing the
absolutely.
inner work for that, and honestly, like I've been at a spot where it's been harder, but it's okay because I needed to get to the spot where I am right now. And I've had some great sexual adventures, and like tried dating people and it didn't work, but so what? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because it's when the time is right, it's right. And you need to get over and get through your own issues first before you can get to your person. Because that's called a soul complement. And there's only when you're put into before you come into this life, you have a few marker points that you pick out. Things like soul complements, which are people that you're going to meet up with, and then like also like when you're going to sort of ditch out of this place. Also, you're going to choose like who you look like. You're going to choose like your journey. Like our trans journey is something that we choose before we come into our lives as a way to learn and to empower ourselves and have new perspectives. Now, when there's a relationship that comes, you can't mess it up. So, like if you the person that you're meant to be with, you literally the reality will not form around and let you meet up with that person until you're ready because it's so important that you're with them. You can't screw it up. So you have to be literally at the right point before you can come together with them. So
Yeah.
like it's inner work, and that's okay. And I've done a lot of it, and now I'm at the point where I've actually finally met some really great people. And like I have somebody like new that I'm starting to like get to know, and I have like hopes for the future. And like so, there's always like a churn, right? I'm always on the dating sites. I'm always talking to people, but it's like you're not finding people, you're not finding the right people. And I'm picky about my energy because the people that are around you are they're going to define like who you're also going to be and how you're going to act and react. And again, you're finding the people that are similar to you. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
it's been hard for me with relationships in the past, but I feel like I've come to a point where I've turned like a corner, and that's actually been very recently too. And now like I even like I'm talking like I work on myself all day, all the time. I learn about the universe. Learn how people work, about how energy works, how about our lives work. And I get all this incredible information, and I'm always working, trying to make myself better. So like that comes out to eventually finding the best person for me. And within the past, I'd say starting with September, I had some really big leaps and bounds and of getting over my own insecurities about within myself and pulling those energetic plugs. So things have like changed significantly for me within the past like few months and even within the past few weeks. So like things have started to accelerate in an incredible pace, and I've been starting. I have some new hopefulness that's coming. I
There's
met
some
somebody who,
prospects.
again, like I think it's good. I'm not gonna jinx it because you never want to put any type of weight or balance on anything because then you're
Yeah.
gonna throw it off. But it's like one of those
Yeah.
people that like I'm like excited to get to know. So
No.
working
Yeah.
on it. It's it's going to be part of my journey, and that's going to be part of my other thing. I've just been sort of like working towards my passions and my goals, and always like working towards those things that I want and loved, and like
Yeah.
the expression and like being able to contact and like relate with people.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. That's awesome. What I guess what in the next 6 months, what's something that you're really excited about?
Well, okay, I got a lot of stuff. All right, so like I just started my art career. I've started working as an artist and being able to express myself. I found a form with that. I found an incredible style which sort of reflects my energy. So I am starting to launch that. I'm an actress, and I'm doing more. I have more roles coming up. I just finished a short film this weekend called My Father's Daughter, and it's actually an incredible
Fun.
story about a estranged father and trans daughter, which and they lost
Yeah.
contact in the relationship, and it's a moment between them where they come together. And this is just there's no dialogue; it's pure emotion and acting. It's absolutely incredible. It's really powerful. So I'm really excited about that, and I have some other like trans short films that are in the works too, and so I'm super excited about that. And let's say I'm also doing sound healing, sound therapy, and I am
Yeah.
doing all, and you probably hear it on Instagram. Now I'm being
It's
loud on
awesome.
social media because I'm out of hermit mode now. So I'm just like la 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 la, like everything. So I'm going to be doing like doing sessions for that. I'm going to be start doing larger group sessions with that. And then I'm also going to expand to other type of ceremonies too. But I'm really excited about the sound healing. And I'm still continuing to build my business and my healing, my healing practice. And it's been a dream for me. And I launched about 8 months ago, and I'm continuing to launch and grow. And still like it's been like a slow pace in conceptualizing and building this, but my spirit guides were like poking me, and they're like, you got to do
Yeah.
it, you got to do it. They were empowering me to do it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready. They're like, you've been doing this for years, you got it, you
Yeah.
got this. And it all sort of comes into play like that. And creating music, and just like it's like everything, like life is beautiful, and I'm just
Yeah.
you know so all these things combined, and modeling too. I got signed by another agency too, so I have
Damn. Get
agencies
it.
I'm
That's
working with.
awesome.
I have like
That
so much up my
has.
sleeve, new photographers, new ideas. Like literally every day is an explosion of like amazing creativity and collaboration with people.
It
I
seems.
think the better question is, what are you not doing?
What am I not? I'm not watching a lot of TV. I'm not wasting time with video games. I'm really dedicated to my goals and spending
Yeah.
the time on the things that I need to do. And I'm empowered and I love it. Stagnicity for me is not a great thing until I necessarily need it. Sometimes you need to just chill out, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I've been given this insane burst of energy to sort of come out and do the things that I'm supposed to and inspire people.
It almost seems like I know with especially like for me, like when I started transitioning, all of my energy went into that, and
Yeah.
I was excited. It was a happy thing, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm putting a lot of effort into it, and I feel like you had said that you consider yourself post transition, and it's like, what do you do with all this happy energy? Because we have like there's nothing really else about our transition to focus it on. Let's maybe focus that on something else
But
because
I've been doing that all along
oh,
anyways, though.
okay.
I've been redirecting that. And I sort of hit the ground running. So even though I'm saying post-transition, like I was still acting like I was post-transition before I was even done anyways. It was just
Yeah.
I'm always the best that I can be. And so every day I live as the best version of myself always, because we are perfect every day, and we're perfect as we are now because we're perfect in our journey and we're exactly where we need to be to grow. And not only that, our greater self and with the entire universe has set this up in such a beautiful type of a synchronistic type of a way. Remember, we talked before about how everything is happening and in balance. It's like that too. So these things are always here to push us ahead. We're in this beautiful perfect spot, and we're just chugging ahead and just like growing and growing and
Yeah.
growing. Yeah,
I
but
love
like
it.
life is beautiful, and if you embrace that and continue moving and following your passion is such an amazing thing. And you know that you're going in the right way within your life if you're following the things that you're passionate about,
Hmm,
and like you're
hmm,
really
hmm,
passionate,
hmm.
not like things that are crutches and negativity and things that we could pretend are passions, but are really just ways to sort of cover up insecurities and feelings of unworthiness, which a lot of us hold within us. I see that's one of the biggest hold downs between not just trans people, but people in general, is that feeling of unworthiness, but which is absolutely baloney because creation, like, it doesn't make any mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. And we're all perfect because we
Hell
are
yeah.
just a segment of that.
Yeah.
And so we're all deserving of everything that we feel. And that things that we don't, the only reason that we don't get the things that we want in our lives is our own blocks. So these energetic blocks and feeling unworthy and these negativities and those things that we put in that energetic field, that's what blocks the things from coming. We
Yeah.
naturally manifest all the things that we want, and they're automatically meant to come to us. We're set. We have this vibrational frequency that literally attracts all these beautiful things within our lives. And the only thing that's blocking it is these insecurities and these fears within ourselves. And when you overcome that, you pull those plugs, that's when the magic happens. And you'll see
Yeah.
that. You'll see that with the beautiful synchronicities within your life. And then you'll be able to see like that like every day is magic. And then you continue on that path and you continue growing. And that's literally the secret of life there. And just continue growing without any expectation of what's going to happen, following your passion until you cannot follow it anymore. And I'm doing this all the time. And that's why I'm so excited and I have so much energy, because I'm living as true to myself as somebody possibly can. I am responsible to myself and all the things around me. I've been sewing myself up, and I've worked towards the best things. I meet
Yeah.
incredible people all the time. The opportunities roll in. I get enough money to just continue going and doing the thing because we're supported. We're supported by the universe. And if we're following our passions and the things that we need to
Yeah.
do and the things that excite us, we're automatically going to be taken care of because we're not meant to suffer. That's not what the
Yeah.
universe wants us to do. It's our own feelings that are actually putting up those own roadblocks. So it's really like digging within and saying, where are these fears? And then, like, why do I have these fears? And what's the worst that can happen? And then digging into that and saying, what's the worst can happen? And pulling out and understand that it's actually just a ridiculous statement that our subconscious continues to loop around. that we can actually pull that plug. And then that's one of the keys to becoming superpowered. And I teach people to do that within my, that's things that I do in my classes. And I love empowering people, as you could probably see.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. I feel like it. I love the positivity, and it's like, I mean, something you said earlier is just like, like manifesting idea, like the I think we were talking about something about like talking about things and then they're not happening, and it's like I found that yeah, the less I expect something to happen, the like more likely it is to happen. If I'm expecting a negative reaction, then I get a negative reaction. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
So that's
awesome.
also, so that's okay. So that's also energy flows where your attention goes. That's one of the laws of the universe too. So that if you focus on negative things, oh, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. What happens is you're actually attracting that to you because you're putting that energy in your energetic field and you're magnetizing your field to pull that into you, that experience into yourself, because the universe is showing you that you still have a fear about that and you're imbalanced. All things that happen within ourselves, if there are these negative circumstances, it's really all it is just a sign from the universe saying, you're imbalanced. You have to make a change within your life. So yeah, that's exactly how it works. And manifestation, yeah, if you're doing all the right things, you're following your passions, it's gonna come through clearly. And it's just gonna, the passions and the things that you want to do and these things that excite you, these are the things that are part of your soul path. If they're not exciting to you, they're not things that are making you happy, you feel negative or sticky about them, they're not the right things to be doing. I live my entire life moment to moment like this. I follow my passion every moment. I'm so true to myself. And the beautiful part about this is information coming from your greater self. And this is the part that's connected up there. And that's connected with your spirit guides and it's connected to source and God. And so it really has all the right information and it tells you how to guide you. So the problem is a lot of us, we dig into our brain and we think too much. And we're like, oh, what if this happens? What if
Yeah.
this happens? What if this happens? Oh my God. And this and that. And we're driving ourselves into a wall because we're worried about all these negativities that we're creating within our mind. But we're creating this, and then we're creating these situations. And then because we're thinking it, we're feeling it, and then we're drawing in these situations to ourselves. When you're following your passion, you're following the things that excite you. These are the things directly from the universe. This is the key to having the best possible life. And at first it may seem a little bit clunky because we're so used to like using this thing to like guide us. But this can only guide what's over here. And the universe is so synchronously put together that like we couldn't possibly understand all the dynamics of how it goes together. And I study it for, I've study, and I understand, I speak, I channel information. It's only a small percent. The more you know, the more you understand that you don't know. And
Yeah.
that's the cue of when we have to sort of surrender to that. You surrender to the universe, but it's really surrendering to your own greater self and getting greater direction. It's really intuition, and everybody has intuition. And it's just being able to feel that and be honest with yourself about the things that you're doing. And when you're doing that, that is literally the formula to be able to achieve everything. But also, as you mentioned before, which is a huge part of it, is not expecting any outcome. As soon as you put an outcome related portion on that, you're actually nixing it. Because what's happening is that you're then trying to fight the universe because you don't know how everything's going to manifest. You don't know how things are going to come. And then so if you have one type of way that you focus your vision, then that's the only way that the universe can bring that manifestation to you, and it short circuits the whole thing. When you don't have any expectation or outcome and you just do the things because you know you need to do it and you love it, and it's the things you die for, the things that are passionate. I'm sure like this podcast is like one of those things that you feel like it's just like it's something that you love. Like I know that energy, like, and you do that and you're going to be taken care of, and it's going to lead you through your life in a way that you're just going to be successful because you're surrendering to your greater self, which knows more than your subconscious, which really just is here to like prevent us from dying from a bear. So like,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's like one of the secrets of the universe, everybody.
Yeah. I have a friend, one of my best friend growing up, and people would always talk about him. His name is Andrew, and he's fucking amazing. But people would always say, "Oh, Andrew will always find a way." And it, I feel like it really wasn't just because Andrew was Andrew, and that's why he would find a way. But it was just because he followed what he wanted to do, and he did what did. Like I feel like everybody could do it. You just there's nothing special about him. He just was passionate and he followed his passions. I guess
That's
so.
it.
Yeah.
That's the magic right there. It's just we put up our own blocks, our own walls, and it's just sort of pulling out our own plugs. And that's why we're here. But we're here to experience. We're here to in this physical reality, in this experience, so that we can experience things in a different perspective. We forget everything that we knew just so we can come through and sort of just take things and understand them through our own like perspectives and through our experiences, which are going to be different. It's really a beautiful journey.
Yeah. I love it. This has been awesome. So one more time, Akundra. I'm gonna Akundra.
We can Akundra, yeah.
Akundra. Okay. I love it. I wanted to say it, but I was like, wait, hang on, I'm gonna butcher it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm gonna put it again on our production crew's gonna put it again. Go ahead,
do we have time? Because I do want to sort of make a quick mention about my bottom surgery too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because because I felt it was, there's that death and rebirth and things that also make you really empowered. I'm closing in on my 3-year mark on my bottom surgery.
Oh crap.
And
that's awesome.
I went to, absolutely. I was pretty gung-ho in getting everything together. I went with Rachel Bluebond Lagner at NYU. She's literally one of the best in the world.
That name.
I suggest everybody who is looking into bottom surgery, if they have any questions, first feel free. Anybody out there, you got any questions?
Hit you up.
Yeah, everybody, you can find me on socials. I answer. So like I'm here for you. So, but I found it an incredibly empowering experience, and also the reason that I become this like beautiful person that I am right now is that like I just wasn't completely whole at that point, and my bottom surgery really allowed me to do that. There's that dysphoria there that no matter like how much I put into myself, looking down, it was hard. And like it was really a beautiful experience. It took a lot in recovery. It was hard. And my recovery I felt it took exceptionally longer. But my results are godly. Oh,
praise! We're not worried. So one thing. So I honestly had only known about vaginoplasty. Did you go straight into that? Did you do an orchiectomy first, a vulvoplasty at all, or you just went?
Don't suggest orchies because I feel like it's a waste of time.
Whoops.
So I mean, but that's your journey. If that's what you felt called to, that was it.
I guess no going back.
Yeah,
for us, no going back.
Can't reattach them, babies.
You
Sorry,
can't put
girls.
it back in.
Like no, but the whole thing is that like that's your journey. That's okay for you. But like if somebody's like, well, I'm going to get an orchie and then get a vaginoplasty, then like I don't find it's worth it because you're still going to have some downtime for that. Yeah. But there are a lot of people that aren't sure. And so like, then that's important for them. But like, if I know some people that are like dead set on a vaginoplasty, and then I'd say just go for that. Like, that's who I'm talking about more specifically, not like the people who are undecided, because if you're undecided, you don't want to do it because then it's a big commitment to be able to do that. And then you have a much longer recovery time. It's very different.
Are you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rachel.
Did the doc that you went with, did they require laser hair removal downstairs, or what did that look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. It's I found that like yeah, I wasn't sure how they were gonna put all the pieces together. I did my laser hair removal was a little bit hasty. I did it within the past like it was like the last like 5 or 6 months that I got it done. I even did my last few sessions a few weeks before.
Did you do laser or electrolysis?
I did laser. Luckily, I was dark enough to do that.
Oh wow, okay.
And yeah, if you have light hair, unfortunately, you
Yeah,
pull the short straw at that point.
Because I'd been
Oh,
told
well.
by the doctors around here that they said only electrolysis down there. They were like because of just
You're
the how laser won't always get like it'll sometimes just kind of like shock it, I guess, or like put it into a holding pattern, I guess. But the hair will grow back. But
you're
um,
pretty light haired though.
not
Like
down
I feel
there.
like
exactly. You wouldn't
Not down
wouldn't
here.
respond well to it. Any blonde hair, it needs to be dark hair. So if you got dark hair, like mine, like my real dark hair, like you can see how dark my
the-
roots are. Like that. That's my normal.
I'll just say the carpets don't match the drapes.
Yeah.
So
so for
it's
the
just yeah.
Oh. Like
But
laser
So for
is
the-
good. I've even had a good experience, like just for myself. If anybody's looking to clean themselves up, I've like cleaned up the whole area with one of those handheld IPLs. Actually,
yeah,
you can buy them on Amazon for like
I
$50.
I
And they
have
work
one, but I didn't think it worked. So they work.
Well, you haven't used it apparently.
I used it a little bit, but then I was like,
You can't use it a little bit. You have to be dedicated to
yeah,
it.
true.
So I do mine, and like I every like week or so I'll zap it a few times, and then you can like down there. It's like I didn't go full Monty the whole time. I didn't have them take everything off because my doctor suggested I leave some because they're like, oh, it might cover up some of the scars or whatever. So they're oh, okay. They gave you sort of like a threshold. It was like anywhere from like the top of like the penis down, like that was where they suggested to do it. So it wasn't even that far up,
Yeah.
or what we would consider like the doughy area. Like you can keep that like there. And you know what I'm talking. Everybody knows the
Yeah.
doughy area.
Yeah.
Like
I've never heard it called that.
Okay.
Technical term.
The doughy
I just-
area.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. When
I
when
get-
it's all done, it's a doughy area. But yeah, I had to get the laser there. I haven't had any like weird problems with like maybe I had like a hair like strangely down there, but also during the surgery they scrape it. So they scrape the follicles out. So it's not like they're just leaving it. That's part of the surgery is scraping the hair follicles out, and they get a significant amount out
Huh.
when they
Oh.
Maybe
at
my
the
dog's
same-
just lazy.
This is blowing my fucking mind. So,
I mean,
like, I would be what you described as one of those in limbo types.
I know you are. Yeah. You're
Yeah. So I was just terrified of the whole electrolysis experience, and I didn't want to do it. But now
Well, but
give me
Um,
one.
well, but there's also
So-
like
it's
we have a-
slow.
we have a friend who comes on lives with us every now and then who has done just a vulvoplasty, so no depth to it.
I
she-
don't suggest that at all.
Really? She had mentioned that like her doctor says you can do that and then go to a vaginoplasty later on. She
Yeah.
was swearing up and down that was like
that sounds bad. That sounds bad.
well,
It's
yeah.
Like,
I just
here's
I don't
here's
even
the,
know what that looks like. I'm gonna have
So
to look
here's
that
the-
up right now.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Is if you have bottom surgery and you don't dilate and like it closes, do you know how freaking tough that would be to go back in and just reopen that shit back up? Like that's exactly what you're doing. Is you are closing it and you are going back in and just digging around and reopening that shit up. Like that does not sound pleasant.
but
Even if
it's not even
possible.
but it's not even
Even-
that. Like you have to create the canal. And then if you're not using all the pieces, then there's all that wasted stuff. And so like so the interesting thing is, so I used my I use the peritoneum pull through. So what they do, it's actually incredibly interesting. And again, Rachel Blubon Lagner, literally the best in the world. She has the best methodology. If you're in New York, don't go anywhere else. If you got any other questions, we got a lot of butchers in a lot of places. And that actually, this is a very widespread statement. There are a lot of fucking butchers out there. You go on, like, if you go on Reddit and look at like the transgender surgeries, like, do your freaking research, girls. And if you got a question, please ask me. I have a list of good doctors. But like, seriously, like, there are fucking butchers out there. There's a lot of people who think they know what they're doing, but they don't. And there's scary ass results. So like, this is not like, you do it right. You do it once, you do it right. And then, you know, if you do it and you get zero depth and then you decide you want it later on, it's not going to be quite the same. It's like, it's more of a hack. And we don't want that for you. You know, it's just do it right. Just because you don't want to dedicate to dilating. Like, I don't even dilate anymore. I by the time I was like 6 or 7 months, you dilate like once a week if you're doing it properly. So it and now I don't even dilate much anymore at all. So you know, I just do it whenever I play myself, I'll dilate a little bit, and like, but it's play. You should be playing with yourself anyway. And honestly, like, consider, like,
Yeah.
I like, I probably should be playing with myself more, but even with like infrequent use, it's still like, it's like, all right, like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't close up. It's not a wound. If anybody's ever heard that bullshit too, there's no such thing. It is not a wound. You know, that is some propaganda that is aimed to destroy like people's like vigor going forward. It's just not true. It's the biggest misnomer. And doctors are saying this shit. I had some girl talk to me on Reddit the other day that they said that a doctor friend and a nurse said it was an open wound. And I was like, that is awful. I was like, you need to change, like, talk to them, because that is propaganda. That is anti-trans propaganda, because it's not a wound. It heals like anything else. It heals in like a few weeks. I mean, if it wasn't like, it's really like the outside, which is really the worst part, but internally, like, within a few months, you're all healed up. It's not an open wound. It's just, that's not a thing. Like, it's such fakeness, and it really steers people away. Like that specifically. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the health industry, it seems like there's, you know, everybody kind of, that Hippocratic oath, it seems like there's so many people who are willing to violate it because of, you know, their bias against trans people. And it's like, you know, they're supposed to be giving the best care and have the best idea for the patient, but but
that's across the board too. You have to be you have to know what's going on, and the doctors aren't really they know what they know, but they're not perfect. They just they have their own like little section of experience, and that's what they know. You always have to be your own advocate moving forward, and you can't blindly take anybody's information. So information and knowledge is power, especially in our community.
This has been awesome. That's cool. Well,
oh yeah, I wanted to say one thing. I also made a documentary about my bottom surgery hospital stay that is on my YouTube also. I'm very proud of that. It was something that I knew I needed to do. I vlogged my entire hospital experience throughout the 6 days I was in the hospital.
Awesome.
And so I'm really proud of that. It's helped a lot of people move forward. So if anybody has any hesitations about the hospital stay and like what to expect, I think it's incredible. It's really raw. It's really raw. I put myself out there, and just for everybody else, because everybody sort of, again, knowledge and information is power, and I hadn't seen anything like this before. So I spent a lot of time on this, and I launched this probably about 2 years ago. So it's one of those pieces of information that's out there. Again, it's on Cute Jess. It definitely has all that information there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. This has been man. I will put all of these. The production team will put all of these links and everything on there. I think we're coming up at a time constraint, I think, for Rachel. So, Rachel, I guess anybody have any y'all have any final thoughts real quick or?
Questions, yeah.
Maybe the final question.
Oh yeah, Rachel, you want to do the final question and then the lead out?
So the final question, and I feel like this one's going to get more in depth than what it's been previously.
Okay. I love it.
At least from previous guests.
I love questions. You could ask me whatever forever.
What would you say is your transition theme song?
Ooh. It's Sia.
Unprompted. Yes.
It's unstoppable. Literally. Like I am that is my theme song. I am unstoppable. I've found myself. I found this incredible power. I found the power of God that we all contain within us. And I found that I can live this incredible life that's tuned to the things that I love every day, and I can empower people. I can bring incredible thing and beauty to the world, and I can spread our voice and bring different perspectives to people. It's unstoppable.
I love it.
I found a new favorite answer.
That's awesome.
There it
Of
is.
the episodes we've done, best answer to that question.
Hell yeah.
No one has picked the song that I mentioned after episode 1, but great answer. And with that being said, thank you all very much for joining us on this absolutely amazing episode of The Girl Dad Girls.
Awesome.
We have our phenomenal host at QT Danny B, Bree Marie, and of course our amazing, amazing guest, Jess. Now, for The Girl Dad Girls, this is the only member who still has testicles, Ravishing Rachel.
All right, bye
Until
everybody.
next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
This has been a production of Girl Dad Girls Podcast. Check out new episodes every Thursday. If you are interested in knowing more, please email info@girldadgirls.com or find us on Instagram @girldadgirls. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.